and we welcome in Judy Miller. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Steve?
I'm all right. It's another day, another revelation. It just doesn't end here.
The gift that keeps on giving.
I guess.
Yes.
And whenever we get on the journalistic side, naturally I think of you, and you're always so gracious to come on. And let's talk about what we've learned today. A couple of things. One is just breaking, but a little earlier today we found out that the Justice Department obtained a portfolio of information on Fox News reporter, James Rosen, who back in 2009, who was involved in getting apparently information from a leaker on a North Korean story. And this was the AP before they did the AP.
Exactly. In fact, it goes way beyond what the Justice Department did with respect to the AP. Because in that case, it just seems to be at the moment an extreme, overly broad seizure without prior notice of telephone logs, that is, records of incoming and outgoing calls on the home, office, and cell of 20 different lines involving 100 different reporters. That's one thing. This goes way beyond that and is far more serious and I believe ominous, because in the case of James Rosen, the Justice Department is accusing him, or at least accused him in order to get the subpoena for all of his records, his whereabouts, his emails, his telephone records, the content thereof. He became an actual co-conspirator, according to the government.
Right. The FBI labeled him as a co-conspirator in order to get a judge to sign this subpoena?
To sign this subpoena. And that gave them the right to just conduct this extraordinary fishing expedition into the activities of an investigative reporter. And it is such an outrage, it goes so far beyond even what was done in the case of the AP, which is pretty bad, that some of us are still trying to process it.
Well, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It goes way above and beyond. They tracked his security badge, as you mentioned. Since when? How is it possible that a reporter, no matter who the source is, a reporter without his knowledge, without being asked to compromise his source, without being called in and saying, hey, what we have here is really, top level, who is, just without any of that, he's a co-conspirator by virtue of doing his job.
Yes, that's what basically the Justice Department has argued in this case, that not only is the person who leaks classified information without authorization potentially criminal under the Espionage Act of 1917, but so is the reporter who gets the information and publishes it. Now that is a new interpretation of law, and it goes far beyond anything we've seen, even from this Justice Department.
Let me play something for you, because I forget the last time we talked if we had already covered this or not. But last week, the Attorney General was on NPR, and he basically warned us that there are more AP or worse type cases out there. When he was asked by Carrie Johnson, how many more has this been done previously? That she was talking about the AP case, and here's what he said.
Seizing records from reporters is unusual, so unusual that I asked the Attorney General how often he'd done it over the years.
I'm not sure how many of those cases that I have actually signed off on. I take them very seriously. I know that I have refused to sign a few, pushed a few back for modifications.
So he had told us that there were others he signed off on, and we didn't know. We still don't know who they all are.
Right. And in this case, unlike the AP case, in that case, if you recall, Eric Holder said that he had recused himself, though he never put that recusal in writing.
Oh, no, why should he? He didn't know when, he didn't know where, he didn't know how, he didn't remember.
Exactly.
No.
But at least there he can, foist the blame onto his underling. In this case, it's pretty clear that he must have signed it. Or if he didn't, and it was done, he had to, because they went before a court, and a judge actually granted the subpoena based on that argument. And that's equally frightening.
Yeah. So where does this go? I mean, is this one an obvious violation of law? What are they going to claim here? National security again?
I'm sure they're going to claim national security. This involved North Korea and what the United States or the State Department thought that North Korea was likely to do in response to something the Americans were doing, sanctions. This is so out of line, but it is, by the way, what I've been hearing has gone on more than even seasoned veterans of the Justice Department are comfortable with.
In this administration?
Absolutely.
All right, now I got one more for you, Judy, before we have to go. This is a Breitbart story that they picked up. The Department of Justice Inspector General published a report today that confirms that former U.S. Attorney for Arizona Dennis Burke leaked a document intended to smear Operation Fast and Furious scandal whistleblower John Dotson. I mean, the pattern here is frightening.
Well, the pattern is really alarming. I mean, if you just look at the Espionage Act, passed in 1917, until the Obama administration, there had been 3 prosecutions under that act. 3. Since President Obama has come into office, there have been 6. And we may have 2 more journalists be faced with a decision of revealing their sources or going to jail, both of them former New York Times colleagues. And then we see the AP case. I mean, this administration has an absolute passion for secrecy that goes far beyond anything we've seen for a great many years in Washington.
All right, Judy Miller, as always, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Take care. Judy Miller, ladies and gentlemen, Newsmax Contributor, Fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Of course, famously, among other things, went to jail for 85 days in protecting her sources. So